We're out today looking for hidden Roman history. I don't know if you can see in the distance there the Isle of Man. It's like it's floating above the sea. Very, very windy. We're at the top of the Esk Valley and we're looking for something called Mediobognum, and that was its Roman name. Its English name is Hardknott Roman Fort, and I think it's just over this little hill here. So we're going to go down and have a look, see if we can find it. We're walking along the track now to the main gates of the fort, and it is incredible when you look at it. This is the main gate, and the walls are huge, almost 2 meters thick. This was a place built to dominate and intimidate. You know, can you imagine what the locals must have felt seeing this being built? It's just a massive feat of engineering that probably only the Romans were capable of doing. Look at the thickness of that wall. It's huge, immense. And you can see the landscape around us. I think if you look up bleak and desolate in the dictionary, it'll probably say see Hardknott Fort, because it is nothing here at all. Walking around the walls, you can see the view they must have had. There you go, looking down the Esk Valley towards the Isle of Man again and Ravensglass. What a place to be sent. This is one of the corner towers that was built, watch towers, lookout towers, just to protect the fort. There's Billy having a good look. The fort was garrisoned by 500 men from the 5th cohort Dalmatia. So they're actually brought from modern day Bosnia and Croatia, that sort of area. So you can imagine the shock they must have felt coming here. Come on lads, we're going to sunny Britannia. Sun, sea and sand. Yeah, well, you can just about see the sea. I don't know what they must have thought. Blimey, they must have thought they'd come to the end of the world. I'm standing in the northeast fort and I'm looking out at the view that the soldiers would have had when they were stationed here in 130 AD. Hasn't changed one bit. What a fantastic view. This is the north gate looking into the fort, and you can see how thick these walls are. Now if you notice here, I'll get a bit closer so you can see there's a line of slate, and the walls below the slate are original, and above the slate have been rebuilt. So it's a good way of showing people what the walls would have looked like. But if you notice, each piece of stone has been hand cut. It's all been dressed by hand and fitted together. And what you have to remember as well is the Romans invented concrete. So when they built these walls were here to stay. They weren't coming down. Billy and Bramble are enjoying being Roman centurions. I think they would have made good Roman dogs. What do you reckon, guys? No? Sooner eat grass? Okay. I'm looking down towards Ravensglass, towards the end of the Esk Valley. At the time when the fort was built, Ravensglass was called Glanaventa, and it was a major port for this area. This is the view from the northeast watchtower. You can hear the wind. What a bleak place it must be in winter. But you can see all the way down the valley. That's Billy sneezing, if you can hear that noise. got something up his nose. I would imagine these towers were connected to the top of the wall, probably by a walkway that the sentries would have walked around, and maybe this was where the sentries on watch would have been able to have a drink, maybe shelter from the weather. I don't know, but it's certainly a fascinating place. If you look how high this wall is on this side, I'm sure it was much higher 2,000 years ago. But when you look over, there's quite a bit of size difference. It's a lot deeper on the other side. So it must have been very imposing to have this massive rampart of stone at the top of the valley, totally dominating the landscape. If you can imagine 500 men living in this fort, and men walking the walls, Roman soldiers on the other side of the empire, totally in control. It's a very forbidding place. Rocky outcrops and mountains, very bleak and desolate. If you look here, you can see the difference in height from the inside of the fort to the outside of the fort. Quite a big difference. The granary building, where the grain would have been stored for the garrison's food, and I think those supports there would have been to hold the floor up to stop vermin getting in. It would have been quite a big building, because you can see when we come round the side the huge buttresses built into the wall to take the weight of the roof. It would have been slate roof, so I would imagine it may have been 2 stories, and those buttresses would have been quite big, reaching probably to the top of the roof. When we look inside, it's a big place. Don't forget, they were storing food for 500 men, and this is where it all would have been. I'm looking down now on the commanding officer's headquarters. You can just see the outline of the floor plan, with the walls sort of still in place, showing where his private quarters would have been and where his office would have been. We'll make our way down carefully over these crags. Not got 4 feet like the dog squad, and here we are. See how thick the walls are. Even for an interior building, the walls are at least 3 foot thick. So this would have been the commanding officer's headquarters, and if we look round, it's facing, you can't see the gate, it's just over the dip, it's facing the south gate, and this stretch of land between the gate and the office was called the Via Principalis, the main street of the fort. Very imposing, so you can imagine a traveller or a soldier coming through the gate. The first thing he saw was this imposing building where the commanding officer would be waiting. These are very nice looking sheep, sort of like storybook sheep. Aren't you, sheep? Very nice, very smart looking sheep. I'm walking down now the main street towards the sort of southern southwestern gate, looking at the other fell side. Maybe 2,000 years ago it may have been a bit more wooded, because there wouldn't have been the same amount of sheep grazing the fells there. But you get an idea of what it must have been like. Imagine marching from Ravenglass to be told this is where you're going to be living for the next few years. Must have been a shock to come from the Balkans to end up here. A bit squidgy as well. So that's the view down the valley. I wonder how many Roman feet have walked this path between the fort and the bathhouse, because that's where we're going now, down to the bathhouse, where the soldiers could get a bit of rest and relaxation. Fantastic. I've come over to the bathhouse, and as you can see, Bramble is enjoying herself in the frigidarium. This is the cold room. Come on, Bramble. So you'd spend your first bit of time here. Bramble, this is where you'd come first, in sort of like a plunge pool. Then you'd go next door. This was the probably the changing rooms here. Come on, Bramble. And then we come over here. This was the trepidarium. Oh, big jump down. This was the warm room. So you go in the plunge pool first, the cold room. Then you come into here. So Bramble's having a bit of a chill now in the warm room. And then we go through here into the cool room. Sorry, cool room, just been into that one. This is the hot room. This was the sort of the steam room, where you come and have your pores cleansed. Fantastic. And it would have its own furnace to heat the water. And it was built outside of the fort because of the fire risk from the furnace. And it's a fantastic little spot. It's where the soldiers would come, you know, to rest and relax after being on the ramparts all day. And if we come outside here, there's a circular building. And this would be like a sauna. And it's quite a rare thing to have. It's quite unique to have this structure. So if you imagine going in here, opening the door, and you step in, and there'll be benches all around the outside, and maybe a brazier in the middle, and people keep putting cold water on, getting the steam up. Then you'd sit and you'd chat and just generally relax. Very similar to what we do now if we went into a sauna. But you can see how thick the walls are, and it would have been curved and it would be domed. Fantastic, what a brilliant place.